It's match of the week time, baby, as we return to RNG's home arena in Beijing. BLG will have to put up a big showcase here with their strength of schedule coming forward. But we begin with RNG, the name on everyone's mouth as they fill up the arena. And let me tell you, it looks already pretty packed as it's not even on the dot. It's 1 minute past and everyone's still filing in. Support for RNG will continue to grow, of course, as they enter the arena. BLG stood still there for a second, maybe petrified. You're looking at ADD walking through, and let me tell you one thing, this man excites me, especially with the support behind the BLG roster, with new people like Metoer, ADD, whatever's going on there. You know what you get? A slap in the face, apparently. Having a good look at him. Now, remember that the Poppy has been seen in a couple of these different teams. And BLG, the ones that brought it out first, ADD, Kuro as they're sitting on the couch and for some reason getting attacked.
Get away from that man!
Xiaohu not even helping out, just
Stop
let him go. Let him go. Uzi doesn't even care, not even a smile on his face as he walks in. And
stop him!
And now apparently it's Karsa getting attacked. I don't know what's going on. AmazingJ doesn't even get touched, so that's a bit unfortunate, but the RNG way to start has been starting with a good old KFC. And I'm not too surprised at RNG being attacked there. They've been attacked in the split so far, but no one's been too successful. Welcome back. My name's Sheikh Asterix Ozipenko, joined by Barento Raz Muhammad. And we're into match of the week again, Raz. And guess what? We're sitting with another doozy in RNG. And
let me tell you this. It's just training. When you get to the Beijing studio, the venue, you're going to have fans all over you. So the bear was getting them ready. It's like, all right, just in case the fans touch you, you know exactly what to do.
That's right.
Not stop, drop, and roll, just run.
They dropped everything and they just ran away from him. So that's pretty smart, you know, like evacuating from a scene. They know how to evacuate from that bear. Running into another bear today, though, that's BLG. And with BLG's run so far, teams are starting to fear them. And their run going forward, I'm sure a lot of new teams will too.
I know the run you're talking about. And for me, it's about the players starting to finally show up. I know at the beginning of the split, we talked about the ceilings that some of these players have. Like, oh, Kuro in the regular season is one thing, but we want to see what they can do going forward.
Yep.
You know, Jinjiao, we've had questions about him in the 80 carry tier list. He's usually just smack dab in the middle.
That's right.
And then ADD, we're like, this guy's random. Yeah. But no, he's not. And I feel like the last few weeks that we've been coming into it, not only has he been showcasing a strength of his champion pool, but his Poppy play has been on point.
Really has. The Poppy, out of other different teams, you're going, oh, AJ not so good, but
look
BLG, he's on point.
Right on top of the Sleepy Trouble bubble. That was the second time he's done that throughout the entire game. The first one probably wasn't planned, but the fact that he started out with a flank because at the beginning, this was actually a play that ended up losing his jungler, but he stayed in the top lane for a long time, set up for a flank, and then going into this play, well, here comes the record scratch, because I have no idea where I am. Like, look at SMLZ in this instance. How the hell did he even get there? ADD finds his flank, gets on top of him. Suning was looking good in this particular series, but after ADD found the flank, able to kill him out immediately, you look at the preceding team fight because Jinjiao and Kuro right behind the terrain, so there is no way you could touch them. BLG's team fighting is one of the best in the league.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice that they're going up against RNG because that's the strength that they like to showcase.
Remember how we've compared BLG to maybe more the Korean style of League of Legends in the sense that it can be quiet in the early game, but it always comes down to, even though they have the longest game times, some of those cleaner but more strengthened team fights.
Yeah, and that's why I love the Suning versus BLG series because both those teams had very low bloodiness ratings.
Yep.
They wanted to lengthen out the game. So this is a really good meta for them because we're starting to see a lot more Vladimir, Corki, teams are willingly getting to that later stages of the game, like 30, 35 minutes with real questions of where it's going because last few patches, by the 30-minute mark, you had a clear winner and you had to find the enemy team trying to find their way back into it. But a lot of the team fights I've been seeing in the LCK, LEC, they've already moved on to 9.5 and it's really showcasing that like team fight champions like Corki and Vladimir are so strong, which is why BLG coming into one of their toughest schedules has that real boost.
This is the start of the road for BLG. Begins with RNG, it continues on, and we start talking about EDG, FPX, IGTOP. It is a tough run, but if they can take down a couple of foes on the way, they can secure playoffs.
It's insane to look at that because BLG coming into this split, we saw that the first 4 weeks were very easy.
Yeah.
And we said that against them, like this is sure they're going to come off with a really like buffed up standings, but we expect to see that go down.
Of course.
With their recent play and how strong they've looked in their laning phase, that's where we thought that was going to be a primary weakness for them.
Yep.
But they're able to get past the laning phase very easily versus very bloody teams. So going up against RNG, that's their first task. And we've been seeing teams like EDG and FPX get tested as of late. I would love to see them in that series.
Very true. FPX are no longer undefeated after a couple of weeks ago, now on 2 losses. BLG trying to climb up to their standings, but against RNG, you bring back to a team, the MSI champions still stand strong, even with AJ in the top lane, but they have shown some signs of weakness there as well.
It's sad that that sign of weakness was the RW set.
Of course.
Coming into the match of the week, we had set this up to be such a fantastic series. You're like, oh my goodness, both these teams are having a great run. BLG loses to Team WE in the left, and then Rogue Warriors just smacked Jangwuji. Jangwuji smacked RNG on the side.
Yeah, with a beautiful Baron.
It was beautiful. But it's a dent in their wonderful record because Snake, FPX, V5, and WE, that's not an easy schedule for them. And they were able to come out very convincingly in a lot of those series.
So RNG still may be in form. This, to me, has a bit of historic feeling behind it, though, even though with BLG and RNG, their first time meeting up, players like Xiaohu and even Kuro in the mid lane, this is like a time-old matchup. And, of course, I'm talking about the time of last year, Raz, where you were there.
Yeah, Rift Rivals was fun. It was in Dalian. You got to see Kuro go up against Xiaohu. It was the final game we expected to see. You know, another team come out. We expected to see, I think it was KT.
It was, yeah.
But it was a Freak of Freaks that came out. Kuro had a great showing, but you get to see him go up against Xiaohu once again. 2 things I want to focus out here is Kuro's initiations, the amount of times that he started a fight. That's nice to see because he's primarily on the Lissandra. Hell, even when he was on the Akali, he was a major reason why the fights have started. So it doesn't seem like it's an issue of champion pool, more so of where the team tends to converge on. While Xiaohu, I mean, let's take a look at the damage percentage, man. That says what it, like, all that needs to be said.
Killing it.
And he passes the eye test that doesn't hit the specific stats that you're seeing. For me, eye test says that this is playoff Xiaohu. We expected to see this level of Xiaohu when it comes to playoff time, and for him to die out during the regular season, that's not the case. His past few series have just been on ball.
It's going to be exciting because Xiaohu may be in form, Kuro even more so, just touching on the assassins and the change of champion pool. Back when we looked at the Rift Rivals, the Game 5 that was hyped up between a Freak of Freaks and RNG, whose roster you can see here, it was very different. Let's let you know what's going on. AmazingJ, Karsa, Xiaohu. We'll focus on the mid lane, Uzi and Ming in your bottom.
Yeah, we've been seeing them. Talking about the consistent roster being filled here. ADD in the top lane, Meteor in the jungle, Kuro and Jinjiao coming out as your carries, and then Mini as the support. I know the support's been changed out early on in the split fairly frequently. They've decided Mini has been the far more successful support, not even in the laning phase, but being able to start the fights later on. So I approve of it. I think Mini has been standout. Whenever it comes to rookie supports, I'm always afraid. I mean, I remember when Killua first came into the league, and I was really high on how Killua played in the LDL. But then when he comes in, obviously he's primarily known as a shot caller in his previous team. How are you going to shot call in a team that, you're just being thrown into the midst of veteran players? So for Mini, it seems like he just was able to sift right in there pretty easily.
It's also more successful when supports shift into teams that do have structure already. You're talking about Kuro, you're talking about, Meteor is coming into a team with that same structure. ADD has been on, competitive teams before, so it's not like they're throwing themselves into a barrenless pit of a team.
And it seems like the veteranship is working in their favor, because whenever it comes to veteran players that aren't necessarily successful in the past, what you see is like, oh, I mean, is it just a paycheck? Like, is it really like, do they have room to grow? I don't see that with Kuro. I see the fact that you already talked about the assassins being fielded. He is growing at a great rate.
Oh, yeah.
He was already fantastic in the LCK regular season, but it seems like he's building up his champion pool, his shot calling, a lot of that while not being able to understand the language of the team in particular. Going into playoff, I expect great things. For ADD, my God, what happened? What happened to him? Like, what was he taking coming into that? That was some good Kool-Aid. Like, I think he's been hitting the gym, and it really showcases that he understands his role to a T, and I think the meta is favoring him at the moment. Even in the previous meta where it was just carry top laners, he's been hitting those carry top laners, and I fear for AmazingJ because he's going to be getting bonked in the head no matter what champion comes his way.
So do I, but if we are talking about champions, then it's going to be the Poppy, right? The Poppy has been played by both of these top laners way before anyone queued on in 9.4 Raz.
Remember, RNG's last series was up against Rogue Warriors. And in that series, that was Poppy 2 games in a row from AmazingJ. He even got a major lead in the first game, and that was the lead that Karsa was gifting him. And he had the first, tower taken. It was his job to be able to push the rest of the advantage going forward. He wasn't able to get a proper flank in the mid lane. He wasn't able to actually start the fight with his carries around him. Very odd team fights that were happening there. So there are reasonably a lot of questions to be had about AmazingJ's
in the top lane and the mid lane as well. Remember, those are your key focus here, as Kuro and Xiaohu will be having their Game 5 rematch of Rift Rivals last year. There will be no lane swap this time though, Raz. There is no Zatai that's going to bring his Aatrox into the mid lane against Anivia. So different picks, different meta, and we can already see the priority going towards the Vladimir and LeBlanc as first.
Immediately. He first picked the LeBlanc last time we saw him. Remember, 9.5 is when Akali gets the buff. 9.4, that's when Kuro's not going to be touching that champion. And so in the previous weeks, we saw Kuro going towards the LeBlanc and the Akali. All of those champions buffed up by the great vision control that BLG has. So I love the fact that they're prioritizing that away from Xiaohu.
Especially when you have the matchup that is so common in the mid lane, Lissandra banned by RNG. They're hovering around their support, looking for the Galio, which has been picked up so many times by Ming, the playmaking support. Let's add Uzi's Lucian as a big possibility.
Uzi's an amazing Lucian. On this patch, Lucian is kind of broken. I mean, you usually see Lucian on the ban list from the red side. So the fact that that was, not taken from BLG because Jinjiao wants to be able to play the crit AD carries, maybe even the Kalista that we saw he was able to be comfortable on, or...
different priorities there for BLG. Both Rek'Sai and Neeko, people would contest, are very big picks in 9.4.
It's crazy to see how much has changed in just one patch's time. To be fair to the LPL, it's 2 patches with the jump that we've made.
Big jump.
But Neeko, a great flex pick, and that's the takeaway here, because it could go top lane or AD carry. I expect an AD carry pick. I think Jinjiao will take it. The only issue I have with Neeko top lane is the fact that you do really require jungle pressure. If you fall behind, it feels like a Jace where you can't really claw yourself right back into the game. You're very useless since your stats are based on the auto attacks that you tend to dish out. So I would love to see an AD carry can be a lot more protected alongside Ming.
Yeah, especially when AD hasn't been so successful in the carry picks. The Poppy has been his go-to, and that's still open.
I want to challenge that just because I think his Fiora has been spot on. I just think ADD has been playing well regardless of the champions that he's been able to show. So the only thing I haven't seen from him is the Vladimir, which makes a lot of sense that it's just been banned out in first phase by BLG.
Hoping we'll get our answer here then from BLG, whether ADD goes on it or not. We'll move forward because the support has been the priority for RNG in this second phase, burning away from Mini so that Galio and Lucian can have a good laning phase.
I wonder what BLG picks up here, because Mini would go towards, I'm thinking, a Thresh.
There it is.
Actually, we'll have to see what ends up. But you're right. The Poppy being picked up by RNG is nice to see, and it really now is a question of BLG and how they deal with it. They can put the Neeko into it pretty comfortably, has a lot of great damage you can put up there, maybe even throw in the Klepto, but I think the press the attack is too strong. Or if you're ADD, you start flexing.
I mean, either the Gangplank or the Kled, what works better here? Arguably, you'd say that the Gangplank works better in this composition, but still, ADD throwing the gauntlet.
And he still needs pressure. The Rek'Sai still needs to be in the top side. If you saw what Suning had problems in dealing with when they went up against BLG, it was the fact that Xiaohu was getting bumped around by the Poppy in a GP matchup. It's still incredibly diveable, and you need the jungle pressure topside early.
What I also love from BLG is that they flexed around with the Kled, kind of throwing into AJ's face the 2-game series against Jiao Yun from Rogue Warriors. So my little form of trash talk, BLG, that's a final lock-in of Morgana. Remember, 9.4, this is original Morgana.
Morgana. The fact that we're seeing a mage support here, knows that he's going up against the Galio, just says a lot about the bans that went out there. That, no Braum, no Alistar. The fact that these supports have been knocked out and Mini's just saying, okay, it's fine. We have a very squishy composition. So I worry about BLG's late game and being able to deal with a front-to-back team fight.
Well, they're going to make that even harder. RNG, the Jarvan makes it all the way through. One of Karsa's speciality in this patch.
I love Jarvan early. I know since the nerf came on towards Camille, people have been really discussing Jarvan versus Camille. What's a better jungler? Technically, they have the exact same strengths, but the follow-up of, let's say, flag and drag, or just the stun that Camille can give you. Better skirmishing powers 1v1 that Camille has, but I think Conquerors really makes up the difference, and I would expect it to be a Conqueror's Jarvan.
Really do, especially since Karsa has been going one way or the other towards the Rek'Sai Jarvan. Kind of ironic that he'll be playing into it this game, but Jungler's not talked about heavily here in this series because of how heavily we will be focusing on that mid lane. I'm glad we get to see the LeBlanc from Kuro kind of accentuates how we talked about his champion pool shifting around in such an important series.
A lot of that has just been a blessing to the coaches who have just shaken hands. Coach Sim, Coach Green Tea, and you know Dandy's in the back. Like a lot of that really helps the fact that there's just so much flexibility in the lineup. For a lot of teams, if you just take away that many supports, then you know the support player will be like, I don't know, dog. This is gonna be hard.
Whatever's there, yeah.
Just give me what you want. But I love both of these compositions. I think to your point about the assassin picks coming forward, I love the fact that Kuro is now playing the LeBlancs, the Akalis out in the world. I know people already knew him from the Yasuos in the past.
Yep.
So it's not like he's just starting to play Assassins. It's the fact that he's playing as much as he is.
Yeah.
He is playing so much more Assassins, playing far more Assassins than he's ever had in the previous splits. So it makes a lot of sense in this realm because BLG's vision control has been able to now boost that up. If you just watched any of the BLG games in the past, you would have seen all the great control wards being levied towards the red side jungle around Baron, and it makes it so Kuro can easily just get picks just sitting there in the top side and just random bushes.
That's right, some of the best vision stats in the league for BLG, whereas RNG, you break it down for them, and Ming has some of the best vision stats as a support. There's been a lot of focused vision around that bottom lane, and whether that keeps them safe from the roaming Kuro, or whether the Ryze in Xiaohu, one of his tried and tested picks as well, can make it happen. We're jumping into game one of Match of the Week. RNG and BLG, both 7-3, with BLG a 1-game advantage. This breaks the deadlock, and I want to see which team finds themselves ahead with their strength of schedule. Yeah, all right. The Rogue Warriors in RNG's home arena, I don't think so. Of course, RNG having the fans packed out for them. A bit hard for BLG to find that support, but let's check in on those runes. All right, what do I see? Well, I see pretty standard, but Aftershock on the Ryze, going to be the most notable.
One thing I'm going to talk about is two of the junglers picking up Jarvan going the Electrocute route, and the Rek'Sai going towards the Conquerors route. Now, I've done a little bit, you know, just working on towards what Conquerors gives you. We also saw Conquerors Sejuani out there, so it's a good time for a discussion, because I don't think a lot of people in the community really knows what it does for you.
Yep.
So just every bit of damage stacks up. You want 5 stacks, that's when you can get the 10% you know, true damage and healing based off of the damage that you apply. So for Jarvan, that means if he goes flag drag on top of you, and you know, while you're up in the air, gets an auto attack down, that's 3 of the 5 stacks already. That means that if he just hits you twice, that he's now healing up 10% of the damage that he's applying, and 8 seconds that it lasts on top of him. If he auto attacks someone else, so if he's in a 2v2, Jarvan's passive damage, I'm just talking about just a boom right up on top of your head. With no AD, like I mean just on the basics of what he has right now, level 1, 49 true damage. That is humongous. And that makes sense why if Sejuani is also picking it up, because when she gets to 5 procs and then hits you with her E, like that damage is huge. And it's true damage as well. So I like the fact that it's on Rek'Sai as well. He also can proc it fairly easily if he's in a skirmish, but I just think that Conquerors on specific champions, it just procs up way too quickly and allows you to, you know, be able to hit your healing, 10% healing and damage off.
Super insane as well. Think about the Unburrow and the time they're in the air, easy to get those procs off. So one Conquerors versus the other, going for Electrocute, still the early burst of damage.
Yeah, so I don't really... The only reason the Electrocute makes sense here, if you're just trying to go in and out, like literally just try and burst the champion out. So if Karsa gets a quick gank in the mid lane onto Kuro, he just wants to be able to get the kill or burst them down, and it dissuades BLG from ever trying for a 2v2 if a counter gank happens. I think both of these teams are fairly just going to look for a slow early game. If you're looking at what BLG has in their composition, that's double cleanse, a GP in the top lane, and a Morgana in the bot lane. They don't have any engage. And I'm just talking about the Rek'Sai can possibly, like, he has a knockup, but if you're looking at the Rek'Sai knockup as your form of engage, like, you really need to find yourself with an early advantage. And I think they're looking and having a pretty good early laning phase so far. Whereas
RNG themselves force the issue a lot easier. Won't be through this mid lane, however, as Kuro winning out these trades wholeheartedly. Before as well, just take your note back, we saw a bit of vertical jungling starting off there by Metoer. Goes in for the invade, but Karsa's stuck to his own. after picking out that bottom side scuttle, will be roaming up to find out where Metoer went or look for something in this top lane.
Yeah, you will be able to find it. Take a look at GP right here. Here comes the gang.
He's so heavily pushed up, didn't go over the tunnel, so Karsa remains unspotted. A flash will have to be burned here, or ADD's just going to die. Barrels are there, Meteor's roaming up, but will he be here in time? Grasp of the Undying, the flash away from ADD. Very safe on the timing. But can Metoer find anything here? The Prey Seeker lands, but he won't be able to get through with the tunnel system. So the 2v2 is negated for now.
And Karsa just hit level 4 off the lane, so that level advantage that Rek'Sai had here, the moment he saw the level up, he didn't want to even touch it. So he's just going to try and get the hell out of there.
Yep, stopped from his back as well, means Metoer just has to roam in a little bit more to his jungle and do the same.
Little unfortunate here for BLG overall, because you talked about the fact that, yeah, unfortunate, that Metoer came out triple buffing Karsa, had a really good start, and all he needed was for his lanes to play it safe, because what is Jarvan going to do if he can't get a proper gank here? Karsa is going to get opened up here.
Kuro walking in will just mean there's a ward deep down, but Karsa to clear it away as well. Meteor's still here. This is very smart gank pathing, keeping him around, maybe not the best thought in the end. AmazingJ will have to flash into the wall, heroic charge. Here comes the teleport, can't be cancelled. Meteor flashes back in onto AmazingJ. Level 5, remember, so they get first blood. But Xiaohu in now with the aftershock negates a lot of the damage from ADD. Karsa's following up as well. The prison is ready and available. The damage spreads like a disease. Flush forward, but ADD, fancy footwork.
That was so close to being a big advantage for RNG if he had gotten that last Q off. But here's a huge wave crashing in. Oh no.
Oh, Karsa flashes forward. That's the commit you want to see from RNG's jungler.
He just knew he was going to get the damage off. He knew that there was no flash on ADD, so why was he just sitting there? That was the question on his mind, and he was able to just double down and get the kill.
After such convincing play from ADD, not the start you want to see from this GP after picking up an assist earlier.
And Karsa has just been so spot on at being able to track down summoners. That's just been his strength here, so we'll have to see if this game comes off.
Metoer needs to make a response here, but flash for flash there for Ming. Locked on down with the Prey Seeker. Nothing to be found. Uzi walks back in, still has priority in this bottom lane.
It's funny. I mean, everyone who looks at this series would want to focus on the star carries. Yep. But to me, these junglers have been the smartest. Every time this wave has been pushed up, he tries to go for a gank. This looked good. AmazingJ with an amazing outplay on the situation to get the stun here. So my question was, Metoer, what is he going to do to get out of this situation? But he tries to get right back in to get the kill. He knows that LeBlanc is coming up, so best case scenario, they get a kill on the Xiaohu as well.
Yep.
They just didn't have the information that Jarvan was coming right back up as well. This is what I love about the early game, is that when people make the decision, they're making the gambit that the numbers advantage will be there in their favor because they have the mid laner roaming up. And you have to, at that point, make the assumption that either Karsa's going to be coming in slow or he's not there at all. Metoer makes that gambit, and it was close to not paying off.
But because he died as well, I mean, that gambit hurts him most of all. Down in the jungle now after that triple buff that we talked about.
It's kind of crazy, the fact that I think that if this game had slowed down, right, if ADD had not been pressuring up so far up when Metoer was taking his full topside jungle, then Metoer has a huge lead.
Yeah.
He is so far ahead of Jarvan, and Jarvan's in desperation with no camps up, not able to make a gank happen. So really, if you go all the way back to how he first cleared, the criticism is levied on ADD, who is so far up knowing that Karsa, or at least Metoer, is just hard farming it up. So sometimes you have to be able to make that sacrifice knowing that you have one member on your team that is just so far ahead.
That's right. Now picking up the red buff as well from Karsa. He's level 6. Able to get back to this top side of the map. Remember, ADD does not have flash. That's so much better for the Poppy versus the Gangplank. Metoer going to try and respond. Tremor Sense, remember, will spot out Karsa, but the range is not there.
And he, you know, the moment he joined up the lane, J4 was already just sitting in the bush.
Yep.
That little bit of movement, I don't think that was caught as well. Now they know, of course.
There is a big wave here for RNG, so maybe not going to be adamant to follow through. Karsa smites it, but over the wall. ADD will continue to push up.
The beauty with all of that is that Metoer just understood that a counter gank was necessary there. A lot of the times if you go up against the worst teams in the league, you look for a counter gank and nothing happens.
Yep.
But you have to be fine with that. You have to be okay with that. Saying that, you know, worst case scenario, we would have lost the game, or at least our early game would have been super far behind. But best case scenario, I'm still up in CS. I'm fine with that. I have a good amount of experience, if not even, in my jungle matchup, and I just theoretically denied or stopped a gank from happening top lane. And you have to be okay with that. That's why I love the fact that Metoer and Karsa have just been so on point this season, early game.
Yep, definitely have been. Kuro, wow. Going to be on point like Metoer, locked on down. He has no mana, Xiaohu. Again, there's the Aftershock as Karsa follows in as well. Aftershock, something needs to be done about this rune.
Feels bad. Rune prison, and then that's it.
Yep.
But even if, you know, I feel like I can't even criticize that because that's 2 chains from Kuro that just missed. It wasn't even the LeBlanc damage that was the most important. It was literally just the setup for Metoer coming in.
Oh, Karsa very intuitive there on Domini. Winds of War gushes down with Uzi's culling. Karsa survives too. Good pick off here for RNG. Might mean the Dragon as well.
They were suspicious of the fact that they had no vision in that area. And then at the end of the day, they get opened up on. Magic Shield doesn't really give you too much if a Cataclysm's on your head. These junglers have been so active early on that they've been leveling up pretty quickly with the skirmishes, with the amount of lane experience that they've been able to just leech. They've been top side, bot side, like they've literally been in lanes more than they've been in their own jungle, which is fun to see. So not really expecting the Jarvan to be level 7 at this stage.
No, it's a really good start here from Karsa, pointing out there in that play. I loved how Mini put down the Tormented Soil, expecting the gold to come through because he didn't have the ward. Karsa goes to the side of the brush, where there is no soil down, so evade suspicion of the Morgana and the bottom lane of BLG. Giving that play forward, there's a 1k gold lead for RNG. And at 10 minutes in the game, mid and bottom in good positions to succeed.
Fun fact about that too, you lay down the soil, if there's a champion on top of it, your cooldown starts reducing very quickly.
Also true.
On top of a cannon minion as well, but there's no cannon minions in bushes, my friend. They only go down one path, so you have a pretty good idea that there's a champion in that bush.
At least the Dragon to be taken. RNG secured Scuttle as well. There's no vision down here as Xiaohu cleans out the last remnant of a ward. Ocean Dragon to start off. Early fighting, early game Ocean. Another one to follow.
Now, I don't want to be all gloom and doom here, but I just said that BLG needs to have a good early game with the fact that they don't have that many good.
You did.
Engage in their composition, and a lot of them need to have time to scale up. The only, if to that, the only, random point is Kuro and Metoer have great early games, but it's going to be difficult for them to be able to find anything on side lanes with how much it's getting pressured. Ocean Dragon 10 minutes into the game for RNG, and their side lanes are super far behind, so BLG needs to be really creative. Find a way to get Kuro open and leaving the mid lane. If they can open up the side lanes and try and get Kuro on bot lane or top lane, just basically get him out of the laning phase, then I think they have a good chance.
Super hard at the moment, considering Xiaohu has the blue buff, 1-0-1 as well. Tier stacking up. The wave easy to push here, and Kuro's trying to get some of those advantageous trades off, but even with a deep ward in, he knows he can push up. Metoer backed on the ward. We'll now get the electrocute proc across. Those are the trades to enable him up, but always getting trade back heavily by Xiaohu.
I love the double chains versus, of course, Aftershock users. Aftershock just is not that long. In fact, even got nerfed on its timing. So if you get the second chain off, and of course Aftershock had already been exhausted, just sending up the Shelly here to see if he helps out in the gank.
3 versus 1, unfair for ADD. He will have to walk in and check the brush, but we'll focus on mid right now. Chained up again, the double flash here. Metoer, good timing. This enables Kuro, but doesn't enable ADD in the top lane. Gank for gank, 1-for-1. RNG, who benefits more?
And you have to believe the moment the gank went off mid lane, you get a green light knowing there's no counter gank top lane. So doubling down to get the kill on both sides. I think that's more damaging to RNG. Yep. You want to be able to have your mid lane standing upright. Not only was he Aftershock, Ryze isn't getting the full shove, he even had blue buff. So he had all the way to be able, and all the ability to push in the lane, deal with the trades that LeBlanc was throwing her way. That's the spine of the map. I want to keep Kuro chained up, but that opens him up.
But does it open up the rest of the map? Jinjiao in again. Here comes the Pop Blossom down and locks down Ming.
Here we go.
Coming in once again. Uzi knocked up, culling midway through. Great binding from Mini 2. Forcing the flash. Here comes the ultimate. Tears through Ming. A double kill for Metoer. The rest of the map is theirs.
He is just flying across the map. Metoer has been so damn good this game, and I feel bad for Uzi.
Yeah.
Like, this is 2 series in a row that Uzi has just been targeted by jungle. There is no forgiving on the map. It's not a 3v2 all the time, but it seems like that's the case. So this is, the gank that opened up in the mid lane. As that went through, you see Jarvan looking for the gank on the top side of the map. So, yeah, just trying to get both of them out there so you have good vision of literally what happened. I thought ADD was fine until... Did he walk up to the bush?
He walked up to the bush.
He did. He walked up to the bush.
There's no... Curious.
I was wondering if the moment the gank mid lane came out, if it was... Oh, no. Run for your life.
He's being targeted again. He's already 0-2. Give him a break. Cataclysm down. Everyone in from RNG. Kuro trying to change the fate, but it's not to Xiaohu. Again, Aftershock comes up trump, and Xiaohu picking up 2 kills and the kill on the top lane means that now we see the turret and the Rift Herald channel. It's going to be a race. But in the bottom lane again, Ming has been targeted out himself. It's top versus bottom, and BLG stick around to give Jinjiao a kill. The race continues on, but the turret's already gone.
At that point, you have to be suspicious of it. And I'm just saying, RNG, I know you're bottom lane. You're getting frustrated at this stage of the game, but you know you have 3 people top lane. That's a hell of a lot of people on your side just trying to bully ADD. Ease up on the pressure. This has been an issue of IG as well. When you've been a bottom lane that's been receiving pressure and being able to win off of skirmishes, Uzi is #1 in the league of how he's being able to play out laning phase. CS per minute, CS difference, experience difference. He is so comfortable of being able to win out laning phase. This is the first time that he's in the opposite side of that.
Yeah.
He needs to recognize his role at this point in being the side of the map that's supposed to bleed out the pressure.
So RNG giving that pressure back over to AmazingJ. Now let's cast our minds back a little bit against Rogue Warriors when AmazingJ had that priority and that pressure provided by Karsa and how it turned out. So for BLG, they've done their homework, knowing that the top side is not the be-all, end-all here in this game, despite the 1,000 gold lead.
And I think that's a good call. Remember, one of the biggest undoings of RNG is the fact that enemy solo laners were getting prioritized. If I'm just talking about World versus G2, LeBlanc just blowing up Uzi.
Oh, yeah.
Technically the same situation here, but with an added salt of now BLG is just immediately targeting Uzi in the early laning phase. So I'm a little concerned, but at least in this game, Uzi has Lucian that can still find that mobility in later team fights. He won't be able to dish out nearly as much damage as the Neeko, but at least he'll keep himself safe to the assassination target Kuro will be trying to throw at him.
Like I said before, if we're talking rematch and Rift Rivals, just the point of Kuro versus Xiaohu. Xiaohu untouchable on the Vladimir. He was a pain for Kuro. Seems like the shoe's on the other foot here, even though the Ryze has a couple of kills in a good lead now for Kuro. Even being 10 CS behind. So I want to see what this nets, because with the double ocean, priority for RNG is down here, but this time BLG have nothing else to focus on but it.
Ooh, I wonder if they're going to look to contest this.
But here they come. A really quick realm warp. Jinjiao all the way out, but Xiaohu's over the side. Mini caught out as well. Karsa with the Cataclysm. Pop Blossom comes down and lockdown too as Mini flushes out, but they've already locked the AD carry. Shield on the other side. Looking at the front, but Poppy, keeper's verdict, ends the fight. AmazingJ, can he survive? Well, Meteor's not going to ult in, so yes. Good pickoffs for RNG, good target selection as well.
AmazingJ with the Matumbo finger wag right there, man. Like, if you look the replay on that one, Kuro felt so useless.
Yeah.
He tries to just distortion into the fight, tries to get that W through. Guess what? Blocked by Steadfast Presence. He's like, okay, I have another ability too. Like, I can dish out some damage. And then Poppy ultimate just literally thrown out of there.
Yeah.
Just completely batted away. So this was a great engage by RNG. They recognize they're about to get converged on by BLG, so they just go for what was the strong side. Here comes LeBlanc. Look at this. No, you can't deal damage to me. Now get the hell out of here. This was a great fight here from Poppy in particular. AmazingJ just throwing Kuro out in the wind.
Really good recovery from earlier on in the split with AmazingJ. We said, and we still say, what is this laning phase like? We'll look at that in a second because Kuro's got away from the distortion. Smite, no! Takes it away, Karsa! What happened?
All right, he's been getting criticized as of late for his smites, and I was defending him for the last one. When Zhang Wuji got the Ezreal ult across, and I was like, here, look, Ezreal ultimate does more damage. I'm going to give him that.
Yeah?
This time around, there's nothing.
No.
All right, LeBlanc does a lot of damage here, but at least coordinating with your mid lane.
This might make a lot more sense in the top lane Meteor, knowing that the dragon was taken, seeing the other jungler moves up to the top side. A good trade-off. A 1-for-1 ocean on your board, but BLG, one turret, which is their first turret in the game. Gold back to 1,000, will be traded off by RNG, so 1,500, but still not enough.
This game has been remarkably fast-paced for BLG.
Yeah.
I did not expect what they came in with this composition. And to be fair, RNG has been the one that's been moving first. I just didn't expect Meteor to be biting back. He has the lead for himself, but I'm concerned. Like, if we're talking about Rift Rivals so frequently, somebody who has had consistent Rek'Sai performances, then like early on in their games, and then they lose anyways, has been Beyond.
Yep.
And I know that AD will know him well. So I'm concerned for what essentially is Rek'Sai scaling off. He may have that early game damage, but he needs to be able to bridge that to what is Jinjiao and ADD being able to do that later on. And this game is going by so quickly. Karsa is starting up so many fights before he even converges in. that it seems like this game is running away from Meteor.
So ironic how BLG are being changed by the pace of RNG. BLG have the longest game times in the league, longest average game times at that. But they have the second highest kills in their games as well, so still end up being bloody.
They still got that.
They still got that. And BLG, it's a good point you raised. How does Meteor transition that gold and those kills over to Kuro and Jinjiao? Jinjiao sitting in the mid lane, and RNG are playing very safe around their vision, but they're still getting so many resources, and it's starting to impact into that bottom side jungle where Xiaohu's hovering around.
I would really like for him to have, I mean, he's obviously looking to get to that point, but he just needs to be able to pick up the Black Cleaver.
Yeah.
The front line on the side of RNG is large. Ryze has already built up his Righteous Glory, so the carries surprisingly have that armor to deal with him. So Black Cleaver would deal with that pretty easily. Also, it's a nice HP pool to have. So here we go. Let's see if he can set up on top of AmazingJ. I do not think they have the damage for this, so we'll have to see about
level
that.
13 Poppy, Spectre's Cowl as well, so Kuro's not going to do too much damage. Maybe enough. No, second chain, let's go. Ray Seeker doesn't land. And RNG start moving up. That's the end of that.
All right. I mean, call that one. Sunfire Cape Poppy. When you try to do any damage to that before you have any armor penetration.
She does more.
Yeah.
So much more. RNG take this opportunity to get mid lane turret. Cannon Barrage does nothing except fend them away. ADD's coming in for the flank. Maybe we get Ming, but locked on down by Xiaohu. He's following this as well. Here comes Righteous Glory Ryze again. They say, "Doing we love the build. Let's keep going." And ADD's forced to flash away after a Cataclysm. RNG want more.
I can't wait until the Summer Olympics come us by so we can have a Usain Bolt skin for Ryze. Just runs right at you. I love the Righteous Glory iteration of the champion. Every single time when you get that build, you just call for your team to run with you.
Makes a lot more sense in this composition. You see how it works and how that front line has been so far.
Have you seen the show called The Raccoons?
No, I have not.
Oh no, is it just Canadians? Anyone out there, please tell me if you've seen The Raccoons.
Raccoon. I don't even think I have raccoons back home. Raccoon. Doesn't even sound Australian.
You got an issue here.
Nah. We got rats.
Oh no. I feel sorry
and
for
possums. We got possums.
Raccoons are a lot more endearing.
Okay.
But yeah, the ending of it, Run With Us, it's a great ending song.
Right.
So that's what came up in my mind while all that was happening. So you better believe, if any Canadians are out there, they know that song, please play it when you're playing Ryze.
All right, I'll be searching for that a little bit later. The Ryze is building himself up for more momentum, but the difference between Xiaohu and Doomby this game, you'll notice Doomby is his third item, picks up the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Hold that thought. Not for very much longer because AmazingJ is out at pretty much full health. Xiaohu is going for the Morellonomicon as his third item, not the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. So I like the small adaptations here, getting back on path with what we normally see. Yeah,
the moment you see that many Ryze games on Doomby, you start to think that that's the norm of the LPL. But that's not the case. I like the Righteous Glory coming in and everyone's starting to build that factor, but Rylai's Crystal Scepter is one that descales, so that's literally just giving you, not only do I have the movement speed of my Righteous Glory, but the slow that essentially I can run people down with the chain rune prisons. But no, I love the cooldown reduction that you end up having. Just the raw magic penetration that comes along with it, flat magic penetration, so it's easier to deal damage to Jinjiao.
Yep. Still get those tanky health stats as well. Xiaohu, you can see on your screen, is pretty much untouchable. Dodging away from a cool binding there from Mini. RNG still about this deep vision. The mid lane inner turret is either at threat or the Infernal, which is now getting hovered around. First Infernal of the game.
An Ocean Dragon and an Infernal, though it would be a little bit too strong here for RNG. I wonder if BLG wants to look to contest that. If you just look at Neeko, she has 2 items for herself, the Rage Blade and Blade of the Rune King. Yep. She's at a pretty good stage of looking to pick up fights. I'm looking at her current standing and how these team fights look, so she's been not as impactful. It's usually once where she gets her 3rd item that's really difficult dealing with that. But I think she should feel comfortable wanting to join team fights here.
First time I believe we've seen Jinjiao on the Neeko, been prioritizing something like the Kalista and has been very good at it. Jinjiao having a very good past couple of weeks on the side of BLG. Tested on the Neeko with even more carry potential and using that Pop Blossom aggressively rather than defensively as we've seen so far.
You've just been seeing a lot of Neekos come about in the AD carry position. It's been Uzi, who's also been playing it in solo queue. Everyone out there has just recognized that it is a broken champion.
Yeah.
It is very strong in the damage it outputs. It reminds me a lot of what Kog'Maw used to be.
Oh yeah.
So of course, if you remember what Kog'Maw E does, it's essentially the same thing, except this one's a snare. And this one just has more damage early out in the game, where Kog'Maw really does need to get to his third item, and even then doesn't have the mobility that Neeko has just constantly.
Just off the passive of W, and doesn't have a free mana ability that makes you invisible.
It's the passive, it's the active, you just have so much movement speed, and it's insufferable to deal with. And if you ever get someone jumping on you, you don't have a random mortar fire off your ultimate. You have an ultimate that stuns everyone else, and you have the shield on top of you. There's a lot of protection that the pick has. So I like the fact that she's now getting into her third item, and they're at a pretty even state with RNG.
Super good base damage as well. Healing off Blade of the Room King of the third proc is great. BLG going to be using that in the next fight. Keep an eye on Jinjiao, but also on Metoer and how he starts it off. He's picked up his Black Cleaver, and second item buy is actually coming across for ADD as well. That's the most important part. Gangplank now should be fine in this side lane, as long as he plays reserved and doesn't get dived.
It's funny, whenever you're a jungler and you're that squishy, you always like, thank the Lord I have my Black Cleaver I've been working on towards this, and then you press tab and look at the enemy items and you're like, I need a GA now. It's like, so there's always that sense of urgency. Thank God he has a stopwatch now, because I love stopwatch for being able to be such a great bridge to your guard name. It says that you can engage and stay in a fight a little bit longer. So it makes it so BLG don't have that question mark of who's going to start the fight. It has to be Metoer, but he knows that if he jumps in without the stopwatch, he's just dead. So stopwatch is going to be able to help him out. If this fight starts too early, he has to blow stopwatch, and then he has still a very long way around of getting to GA.
Has to repair it, has to rebuy it.
Then BLG is going to have a real tough time.
Yeah, Metoer got that one in inventory. Let's find out when it starts, though, because there's another Infernal, and if the pressure keeps going RNG's way, that's double Infernal. Before you know it, you might get the triple. You might open things up towards the Baron fight. And at 25 minutes in now, 3k gold lead just about. RNG still around this Baron.
It just certainly means that you can't let RNG have the second Infernal Dragon. Second Infernal Dragon would be a little bit too much tag team with the Ocean.
Yep.
BLG have been really nice in being patient. Oh no, gotta get out of here.
I was waiting for. I said ADD was safe, but as long as it was a turret, Uzi coming out of the pit, but not going to follow up. Xiaohu is a threat.
They expended so many people to be there for him that I'm worried about the vision control that RNG's been setting up top side. You already see Jarvan just walking up into the blue side jungle, and it's because ADD needs help.
Yeah, Sterex Gauge proc, that's a big cooldown here, this part of the game. Karsa going in aggressively for vision now. Is this too far? Kuro's going to give us an answer, but still, he does not do enough damage at this point.
I think
fighting lockdown.
Yeah, I think you just need your friends. Thank God he has him now. But mid lane push coming through from Xiaohu. Then they should move up. They have a great Baron team as well.
Yep.
Blade of the Rune King on Uzi, Ryze, the machine gun damage, and if AmazingJ is with them, that's just a free member who can tank it. So you do have to be worried if you're BLG that they can just start it at any time.
Trying to get back into that pit. Talking about how BLG move as a unit. I mean, this coincides with the way they've played. We've got a slow mid-game preparing for that Baron. Back to the BLG style where the big team fights are what you are going to see due to the nature of this team.
And take a look at the item that Uzi had just built up for himself. Usually you'd see the rapid fire cannon at this point, and then a fourth item, Infinity Edge. Yep. This game has been moving at such a pace that you would expect this next fight to be the last fight, and he has so many great frontliners in the Galio, the Jarvan, the Poppy, and then I'd probably use the asterisk of a Ryze because how he just has so much mobility. You have to deal with him first before you even deal with the Lucian.
Very true.
He just goes towards the Infinity Edge for the extra bit of damage and just roll in the dice to see if he can get the crit.
Remember what Clement was saying yesterday about the Lucian build? It needs to be adapted here in the game. Uzi knowing that this is the fight, sends out the culling, ultimate in, backline from Karsa as well, cannon barrage onto Uzi. Here's the hero's entrance, Meteor's caught out. Stopwatch was needed, like you said, Raz, but he can't take down Karsa. It is responded by Jinjiao, but he scurries away out of there. 1 for 1, both junglers down, but is Baron going to be started either way?
I wonder about that. RNG have such great pressure that they can just start it, but they're on Ming.
They've found Ming. Here's the shield of Duran. Kuro goes fake all the way out. This is from BLG to find the fight. They've got AmazingJ locked on down with a chain. So darn low, AmazingJ. The flash in from Kuro. Too ambitious? I think not. As the Ignite drops on down, he'll heal back up. Remember, 1 Ocean Dragon and the turret for the taking.
You're starting to see the damage from Jinjiao. The moment he challenged Xiaohu was when he was saying, okay, I need my teammates now. But other than that, he can just walk up to the rest of the team. He is strong at this point.
Blinking health bars, RNG have to back away, even scared of the glow. You don't know what's real anymore. Ming almost getting caught out and paying for it with his life, but RNG, an overall loss it would seem.
Yeah, it was It's a fairly big loss because I like the fact that they went on top of Meteor. That was a great decision. They can start up on Baron whenever they want because they know that Rek'Sai would have to recommit to getting vision control that he didn't have to begin with. But they lost extra members. I like the fact that they are doubling down on this, but here comes the teleport.
Teleport's coming in, but look at where the jungler is. Meteor's nowhere nearby, but Uzi is so low, as she just mentioned. Jinjiao cloned into the pit.
They have to start. They can't send all their members back. Uzi has to go back, but the rest have to stay here in case BLG start up in the objective.
To the Infernal Dragon. I like this from Meteor, playing the bluff of RNG, denying the second Infernal. Now that's the biggest part of the fight that now BLG control.
Roll the dice. Let's see if the next one's Infernal.
You know it will be.
Yeah, I know it's going to be. No, I'll say Mountain.
Nah, Infernal. Here we go. All right, never mind.
Nah, we both lose.
I like Cloud. I don't know what you think, but I like Cloud. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be the triple Infernals we expected, but we do have ourselves 5 Elemental Dragon Gap.
What you saw from me was what I always do on multiple choice questions. You know, there's something I'm 80% sure about, but just before I'm, you know, when I hand it in, I was like, all right, I'm erasing this. I'm gonna use another one, and then I'm done. Right. Even one. But just checking back onto this one, the fact that they doubled in, got on top of Meteor, he didn't even farm that much, so he was nowhere near his Guardian Angel. Him losing Stopwatch in his life is going to be very costly here. But this is great for RNG. Send all your members towards the Baron buff, but that wasn't the case. Ming lags behind, he dies in that one as well.
Yep.
And so I like the after fight from BLG because they made it so the game was saved. It wasn't a game about the Baron any longer.
Considering the majority of that fight was a 4v5 as well. Kuro got knocked out by the Keeper's verdict of AmazingJ and still able to find the backline access there onto RNG. We'll see what happens next because now that Meteor is able to get vision out, Baron looks a lot safer. And BLG, their fight is getting even better. Renan's Hurricane on the AD carry. BF Sword there for Jinjiao. He's a very threat.
Almost level 16, so a GP that's getting near level 16, who's also, I want to call them shekel. I don't know what they are, like coins, GP coins, something like that.
Doubloons.
Doubloons. Empowering his own ultimate. Yep. So there's a lot that GP now has for these fights. They're going to get bullied into it. I don't know if they see this. They do now.
Should at least have level 2 or level 3. When does it come down? That Cannon Barrage in hand for ADD. Barrels around the side, the perfect angle, the perfect pit. Hits AmazingJ, but not enough.
Got him.
BLG getting engaged on his Karsa into the front line first. The hero's entrance, but AmazingJ knocks away one. That's ADD in the top lane, and Ming, will he re-engage? Shielded Duran cancelled early. AmazingJ's low, Ming as well. Force a flash out. Look at Jinjiao.
Rek'Sai's going in.
He just dives on top of Ming, follows up from AmazingJ as well. The flash from BLG. They're fighting to win. 2 kills already, and BLG chased away RNG. 2 big picks, and look at what's up.
Smartly, they say we don't need to chase them any longer. In fact, they might send a few members, but just to dissuade them as they move towards the Baron buff.
Karsa is still up. Kuro's waiting in the brush. RNG 3 versus 5 still possible if they can find a pick and dissuade this Baron.
There we go. They just want to pull the rest of RNG in. They know that RNG won't leave it lie. They have their jungler available. Here comes the Ryze ultimate. Just to see him.
Realm Warp. Uzi dodges away from the Dark Binding as well. They've pulled them off the Baron. Is it going to be enough for RNG? Will they dive for it? Uzi still healthy. Heals up on Xiaohu. The Ryze going to be a big factor as Meteor tags once again. Doesn't have the ulti available just yet, but RNG, the inside tracker Xiaohu, takes them all away.
No way.
Follow me, my children. Follow me as ADD gets tagged up once again. Xiaohu gets the AoE damage. Still alive for now, but can't survive long enough. RNG trading it off for a mid-lane turret, and remember, they pulled them off the Baron.
How are they trading evenly when they had lost members? It was all because of the Ryze. Ryze is running with like, I don't even, this guy needs an award for something. Send him to the Olympics, do something. He was able to just duck and dodge so many chains from Kuro to keep them interested. Now Baron's not an option. The rest of RNG is available, unless if you want to fight in a man advantage. But these are risks that BLG was not willing to take. They were not willing to take the 50-50, 60-40, whatever you want to say. It was tilted in favor of BLG. They wanted the fight on the rest of the members. This was way back in the beginning, just in case you forgot, how well BLG moved away from Karsa's and Ming's initial engage. So they chased them down. That's all great. Just take a look at Rek'Sai, who had tagged onto Ming, I believe. Yes. Gets the kill on him, easily able to follow up on AmazingJ. Meteor has had a great early game, and the team fight afterwards have just been on par.
Watch Jinjiao in those fights as well. Infinity Edge now picked up. My major concern for RNG is that magic damage shreds through Ming, shreds through even the likes of AmazingJ. Really rough right now when you consider that you've got a Neeko versus the Lucian, and you're preferring the Neeko with the 4-item build.
That's my issue. The fact that Neeko can so easily kite back, has the range as well. There is so much that Neeko has going up against the Lucian that I would like to see how Ryze can perform.
Yep.
Ryze has that machine gun damage, and Xiaohu's been so good so far.
I mean, they've found Metoer with the pick-off as well. Realmwarp's coming in. Doesn't bring anyone, just more of the bait as the cannon rush down as well. Look at where Karsa is. Mispositioned as the rest of RNG can't get to him. Flag and drag over the wall, but Jinjiao looking to follow up. Culling dissuades, and that's a good ultimate there from Uzi to separate BLG.
And all of these fights have been happening right next to Baron Nashor. One person falling means that BLG, or RNG in this instance, can move towards Baron buff and try and take the largest reward possible.
At this point as well, let's remember, if there's one pick off here from either team, that large reward goes into the hands of another, but Metoer is off to the side. Can RNG read this? There is no vision nearby.
He's just not interested in all this shenanigans in the top lane. But you can already see Ryze kind of inching towards it. He should be able to take it in time, but oh my god, they're getting opened up on him.
Who's he going for? ADD, it seems like can't pull the trigger in time.
Oh my
god. Locked on down, Kuro starting to do a lot of damage at half health to Cloud Dragon. Makes them a little bit more speedy. RNG know the jungler's coming in, rather.
You have to deal with the barrels coming in from GP. He will slow them relentlessly.
Even taking the 4v5 once they realize the dragon's there, RNG pull away at a disadvantage with the inside track.
Expect BLG to move towards the Baron buff. They had already chunked out Karsa, they had pushed them away from the objective. The fact that they're not moving towards it says a lot to how risk averse they are, because most teams will go for it. You better believe Invictus Gaming or who's another team that's just reckless?
Maybe FCX, TOP.
Exactly. They would go for it because they have faith in their own abilities, that they will take the fight around it, or you have to just be able to take 70-30s around the Baron buff.
Feeling the pressure heat up here for BLG. It's only game one and now match of the week, and already things are tense. 35 minutes in, more pushing towards that stat of BLG having the longest game time. Playing it calm, playing it careful. We truly see the adaptation of Kuro and ADD into BLG.
The fact that we're already just always looking towards Meteor's build tier to see how long he can stay alive in these fights. He has the GA completed and he has it ready, so that's nice.
Yep.
The next one I'm expecting to go into Steric's Gauge. Okay. Just being able to be on top of them, can eat up a lot while still being able to be a threat to the backside. He's dealing a lot of damage to Ming. Yep. So as long as Ming, who is always going to be that member that is the last left behind. Remember, Jarvan goes in, Ming follows up, and if RNG decides to back away, the last man standing will be Ming, and that opens up a lot of damage he has to be able to soak up. Rek'Sai's primary target in those situations will be the Galio, so I like the fact that he's going to be aiming for him first.
Always going to be a step behind as Ming is going to be squishy. The support enables that as Karsa pulled out again, but the Flag and Dragon gets him out. Culling does half of Meteor's health. The downside to being a Rek'Sai in this late game is that Lucian is still going to hit you hard.
Yeah, this is going to be rough. I mean, remember, Karsa has Warmogs here, so all the damage he's been taking, he recognizes it. He says, I don't have to base when I get chunked down. That's not the same luxury that Meteor is now given, so he has to find a way to heal right back up.
Ocean Dragon should be able to help with that. RNG in a choke. As Karsa now back at full health.
Wow.
Xiaohu in the mid lane. That's a big chain onto the Jarvan. It would mean something, but Karsa's going to heal that up shortly. Once again, Cannon Barrage slowing that down. Heals there, keeps us verdict away. They may have found AmazingJ, however. And BLG front to back, nicely done. They just need to kill this Poppy, but here comes the ultimate. Over ambitious. BLG will find their pick on the Poppy, but GA popped once again. Karsa is out. The lockdown from Jinjiao. The Neeko free fire. Pop blossoms down. And that's BLG's fight to win. RNG get destroyed under their mid lane inner.
Great decision making. Meteor expected himself to die. He had the GA and he was like, as long as I'm in there long enough for my carries to dish the damage, we will win this fight, and they do.
On hit Neeko has never looked so good in the LPL. We have seen it time and time again, but Jinjiao, what a successful performance for BLG, playing more towards their style, and against RNG in game one, they feel right on top.
This is the most impressive game for BLG. They better be happy, because they were challenged early. These were early fights that were hitting them.
Look at me.
I mean, they have to be happy. That was the best game that he's had in the split.
Yeah.
Bar none. Went up against Karsa, who I regard as the best jungler, though in the past two series has been slumping, I would say. Past two series has not been good for him, but throughout the entire split, he has been my favorite jungler. To just watch their pathing, how he's been able to support Xiaohu and Uzi. But this series, he just had he was so frustrated. Got triple buffed early. He tried to go for top lane focus, and if you can see in the gold grab, they had a gold lead for a good majority of it, but they weren't able to just be able to clam the game down when they went towards Baron buff. He was getting picked off so often.
Yeah. Wasn't only just Karsa in that game as well. You saw Xiaohu had, you know, the rise and fall there of Kuro's LeBlanc. Found his footing with a 2-kill early lead. Found his footing with the Righteous Glory as well, and you're like, oh my god, this is happening again.
It's crazy because even though the gold lead, as it shows, was in RNG for about, let's see, 7 minutes, 20 minutes.
20 minutes,
a long time. 20 minutes, you have yourself a gold lead, but even as a jungler, as Karsa in that situation, he knows that Rek'Sai still has a lead in the matchup.
Yep.
So he's stronger, he has more gold. He's trying to find a way to carry out. And in a Rek'Sai, in those team fights, when you're going up against Poppy, Jarvan, like there is so much.
At like 40 minutes as well.
Yes, you're like, oh. It's like,
how do I die?
It's like, I need to die the right way. Yeah. And I think that Metoer chose their like great fights. That last fight, just jumping in the moment he knows Neeko will follow up. This is great IQ, understanding of what's happening on the map at that stage of the game. And I think that if there's an MVP to be given, please give it to Metoer. Give it to him.
100%. A lot of this focus going into game number 1 was about the Korean top lane and mid lane in Kuro in ADD. ADD had a stellar game after falling so far behind in the laning phase as well.
Yeah, that was, I think the only criticism I have would be the first time around he got ganked.
Very true.
But then from that point forward, when you have 3 people running at you, you're like, please, someone else.
Let's go.
Don't come to me. Do something down there. Hurt Uzi a little bit. In fact, Uzi for me, I like that trade. Yeah. So it worked out. Uzi was behind once again, another 2 series in a row when he's behind in the matchup. Exactly. So that goes to question a lot of the focus that this team has, RNG, with their composition. Because if you're trying to focus topside, I understand. As a jungler, you just happen to land at that spot because you're getting pushed around. And the highest experience is the topside. Yep. And the gank is easy for top lane. But your composition is saying that you do need to give bot lane the focus because that's where you picked for. And on top of that, the fact that you're trading and you're giving Poppy the gold. Like, ultimately, BLG just had such a great way to play out the early game that didn't give Jarvan an easy answer.
Yeah, that's right. It happened again, though, for AmazingJ, didn't it? A couple of resources put on his back. AmazingJ was a bit of a pinnacle towards that RNG lineup. But again, wasn't enough to kind of push them over the line. Purely because AmazingJ has the resources. Okay, what's going on with Xiaohu? What's going on with Uzi in this game 1? Yeah,
and I think Xiaohu was doing real well this game.
That he was.
The only time was just that, you know, he was pushing in too far when he knew that Karsa was top lane. This is a lot of skirmishing happening, and the adrenaline can go high a little here and there.
Sorry, I thought you had more to say, right?
No. I know we're going to be going to that break, so I just want to see a little bit more.
All right, well, we're going to go to game 2. Short break. Right after this, match of the week continues on BLG and RNG. Why would you miss it?
要开了，这边直接开，4帽子没闪现的，有人中亚，这边没有加速，拉回来恐惧，还有一条4帽子这能不能活下来？顶了一下，4帽子还是倒地了。哎呦，这边的话，阿卡丽回城，然后拯救局面，但是场地有真。死亡吧！有春哥，这边要杀侍女，狂马这边还没有阵亡，要杀狂马死掉了。这边的话，阿卡丽立功了，而且是木魂的侍女还活着，木魂的侍女一直在输出，当时里面也1敲4。
怎样的战斗在等待着我？
林时代原地开出个大招，后边阿德这里是要被挂了一个。这个位置好像不是特别好啊！第一时间先决率先阵亡，嘎拉这还在不停的输出，毕竟输出环境还不错。后续的话，超过2人之后，配合艾康斯的一个输出，嘎拉这边还有半血，后续半速的一个进场。
断剑重铸之日，骑士归来之时。
嘎拉这边还有半血，后续半速的一个进场。 看一下范森能不能收掉，被打过去了。PA 还是最后一下，一发 Q 修掉雷克的人头。后续范森这边没有闪现的话，还想再追。一发 PA 再一发进一个惩戒。
来大招直接开大道，然后直接吹风加狂风。
正义，好冠冕堂皇之词。
然后直接吹风加狂风绝息斩，秒掉了，大招被开出来，而且大招又闪现了，闪现过去之后呢，这个威力非常的强，这也是瞬间被融化以后留在后面，牛头应该走不了，前面希沃尔也倒了，这一波是一个 ace 呀 ，ace 团长最后拿下了，是。
哪里需要我呢？
塔现在很着急，上来刘青东这一波肯定要遭中，没有闪现的情况下交了一个金身，最后被小虎收掉了人头。闪现进来的金构给了大招，但是旁边有一个金身，卡塔闪现脱离之后没有遭到击杀，后续小虎再上来，但是被天丢爆了。我的天，这个蟒蛇再回击一个挖掘机，东西这边已经被打出了一个复活甲，加里奥也倒了，在等优战，4个人在等他 ，AJ 也没有办法。哇，这一波金控跟小田打得太好了，
请让鲜血都流出来吧。
他也需要冰泉去帮他有点小 AOE 推线，3个人想抓的善，
收获之月，多美妙的名字啊！
那善直接被顶出了防御塔，交闪现想去换 Mystic 大招，直接爆死，红怒 Q 回了一口，还转身还想杀 Magic， 落地一个 Rookie， 但是 Rookie 根本就没有冲到主攻，使得善1v3砍下了一波双杀。